Hey everybody, this is Everyday Commentary. On the table in front of you are three knives that have sentimental value to me. This is a Sweet Stuff Saturday. It is recorded on a Sunday, but I wanted to just talk about the knives that you may not see and may not be the model for an Instagram post, but these are three knives that really have some profound sentimental value to me. And so I'm going to go through them one at a time. This is a Spyderco Dragonfly in ZDP 189 with custom scales. This is a TRM Holy Nerd in titanium scales. And this is a stock Spyderco Chapperel in Raffier Noble. So let's talk about why each of these matter. So let's start out with this knife first. So this knife is a ZDP 189 Spyderco Dragonfly. It's my favorite knife. They no longer make this knife. I think that the best regularly produced, I think they have a PD1 version right now, which is a good steel, but I wish they would make it in MagnaCut, or I wish they would make it in 20CV or M390, a good all-around steel. I like K390, but I have found that even in a climate that is as mild as New England, it tends to rust. This does not tend to rust. I basically do no treatment on this knife, and it holds up fine. This knife is absolutely razor sharp. You can kind of see it has a very, very polished edge. I mean, this thing is just wickedly sharp. The knife was a knife I truly loved, and somebody, one of my readers, made these custom micarta scales for it. I swapped the scales out, and it is a knife I carry on a pretty frequent basis. It is super mega light. I want to say this thing is probably an ounce, maybe 1.2 ounces, very, very light. The scales have oiled up quite nicely. This is mainly just, as you can see, there's the portion that my hands can hit and portions my hands can hit. Really, really great little knife. It was very nice of somebody to make this for me. And I really do enjoy the knife a great deal. It's just a great, great, great design. Simple backlock, and the scales just give it that like extra special flavor. Now, why is this a knife that I will never get rid of? Why is this a sentimental keeper? It is a sentimental keeper because of all the knives that are out there. This is a knife probably most closely associated with me and the website. I really enjoy the interaction that the website offers, and so having a knife that basically symbolizes the website means that's a knife that's going to stay in my collection forever. Let's talk about the next knife. This is the TRM Holy Nerd. I loved the original Nerd. I like the Holy Nerd a little bit better. This is one of the finest knives out there. It is just a masterpiece. The design is good. It's super compact. The machining on the titanium scales is really quite incredible. This is in almost every way this knife, but still being made and made in America. It is just a spectacular blade. As you can see, they're almost identical in size. They're really, really close in size. This knife is a knife that I was given, and I was given this knife on a factory tour of TRM, and it was given to a really close friend of mine named Nick Shabazz. Nick was out for a conference, and we went to TRM together, and we met Les and Marianne. We got a tour of the factory, got a tour of Les's workshop, which is probably one of the best workshops I've ever seen. And they had a pair of these knives sitting there waiting for us. I don't think the Holy Nerd with the titanium scale had been released yet. It was just a really cool capstone to a really cool visit from a really cool guy. Nick is a good friend of mine. We talk pretty regularly, even though we don't do the podcast anymore. And I am just thrilled to have this knife that sort of symbolizes my friendship with Nick. The next knife. This knife is the Chapperel in Raffier Noble. The Chapperel is probably one of the best everyday carry knives in existence. This model, I think, is still being made. I'm not 100% sure. But it's Revere Noble. It's a really cool, weird scale material. And the knife itself is just a great, great thin. Look how thin that is. Look how thin that is. It's like super paper thin. Mega thin. I love thin blade steel. If it is not the same, it is thinner than the Nerd, which is just incredible. Really great knife in the hand, great size, easy to use lock. This is just a winner all around in my book. And this one was given to me by my boys when I was a dad for two boys for the first time. So the year my youngest son was born, obviously they didn't get it for me, but they gave it to me as a Father's Day present, and I was just thrilled. So this knife will never go anywhere. I have a couple other knives that have really high sentimental value, but those are my three favorites. I have a knife that was laser engraved for me, my dad, and my two boys. And I have a knife for my grandfather. Those are in various places. But of the knives that I have that have sentimental value, these are the ones that I carry. And I do carry all three of these. I carry the ZDP 189 Dragonfly actually quite a bit. As you can see, the scales are pretty dark. But if I want something that's like a little bit more capable than a gent's knife, but it has to be a little fancy, I toss this in my pocket. And you know, the weird thing is, like, in some ways I like really light knives, but if it has this much heft to it, it's actually easier to find when you take your clothes off at the end of the day. You're like, oh crap, I forgot my knife. You can tell because it's in your pocket and your pants, and it adds some weight. This one, you could like send this through the wash a couple times. In fact, I think I have sent it before I put these scales on. Sent it through the wash a couple times. But this is just, if you have not had a Holy Nerd, you really need to get one. I mean, you don't need to get the fully blinged out version like this, but it is really special. It is a great knife in hand. It's got a thin blade that lets you slice, but it's got this really beefy tip, so you can do some real piercing and digging. All around, one of my very favorite knives. So that is just a quick look at some sentimental knives, and I'll talk to you next week.